name is Kirby Joseph. I am a longtime community organizer that was born, raised, and still lives in Brooklyn, New York. And what I want to do is take us down a trip through memory lane of the last year in this city. Do you have the image in your mind? Okay, I want you to keep that thought. In New York City last year, we had a reported 955,000 cases of COVID. We had a reported 33,000 deaths of mostly Black and brown and elder poor working class people. I want to say that again. A reported number of 33,000 deaths in this city. 631,000 jobs were lost. Our teachers were fighting for their lives, for their co-workers' safety, for their students' safety, and telling their chancellor and the mayor about their needs were being ignored. While we lost jobs, the NYPD was actually in a hiring surge. They hired for hundreds of job postings, half of those being more police to occupy our communities. At the same breath, de Blasio claimed that he defunded the police. Yet he gave NYPD officers carte blanche to violently enforce mask wearing. There were images of police officers with their knees on folks' necks for masks. And while the elite left New York City, I repeat again, while the New York City elite fled, like mayoral candidate Andrew Yang, we were forced to stay as we enter what was called a housing apocalypse. The Cancel the Rents movement started as a way to deal with the amount of evictions that would hit our community. It's a demand that we're still waiting for rent to be canceled. During this pandemic, we got nothing but lies, nothing but broken promises, nothing but empty noise from every leadership position in this city to appease us. Assata Shakur said the ruling class of this country cares more about protecting property than our lives. And that is something that we saw during the worst period within our generation. There was no compassion. There was no care. There was no service to our wellness. There was nothing but lies and pacification. We entered the largest civil rights movement within our generation when we watched the lynchings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and Tony McDade. And we still experience violence from every system within this city. The same institution that tells us that we need to rely on them, but we know that we cannot. See, these candidates have their own agenda. These candidates have their own deliverables that they have to make to Wall Street, to the banks, to police unions. It's not our interests. We need somebody that will stand by the interests of poor working class people. We can't trust candidates that take money from the police union within this country. We can't trust candidates that sell our communities out to developers. We can't trust candidates that put us last and property and profit first. We need real leaders. Leaders look out for the collective. Leaders look out for the lifeline of their city. That's us. Poor working class workers that make this city function each and every day. Right. While the elite fled, we stayed. That's right. And we made this city work. That's right. A leader cares about our safety. They care about our wellness. When we're in a health crisis, they make a plan. The leaders that call themselves leaders in this city had no plan for us. Leaders listen to the educators of the next generation of workers and thinkers and artists within their city. These These leaders did not. They didn't listen and they didn't accommodate. These leaders know that you need housing as a human being to survive. And instead, they allowed courts to reopen and push pauses on rent evictions instead of canceling the rent. Are these leaders that we need? No. Is this the type of mayor that you want? No. Mayors that you put first and they put you last? No. We're not looking for mayors with capitalist agendas. Mayors that live to uphold the status quo of this system. That's not what we're about. We need a new leader. That's right. A real leader. That's right. And that leader is Kathy Rojas. That's right. As a black socialist woman that's from New York City, first generation Haitian person, I know for a fact that if we do not rely on somebody who supports our interests, we will fail. Kathy Rojas comes from parents from Colombia. She worked within the restaurant industry and worked her way to become a public school teacher. And while this pandemic happened, she kept her teachers safe and she kept her students safe. She's on the front line of every struggle that impacts our community, from housing to healthcare to LGBTQ struggle to anti-violence and anti-racism work. Kathy is on the front lines. I don't have time for candidates saying that they were beat up by cops and then became a cop and is not supported by cops to claim that they'll support our community. I want somebody who's on the front lines for me, and that's who Kathy is. Kathy has dedicated her time and her energy to support our community. From Queens to Brooklyn to Harlem, she has been right here by our side. See, we don't need systematic toys. We don't need errand boys. We need a comrade on our side. We need a comrade in a position to shift the culture and the political landscape of this city. These candidates who are on the ballot are not my comrade. I can only speak about what I know. And what I know is that Kathy is our comrade. And Kathy is a people's leader by every sense of the word. So when you're looking for somebody to vote for the only socialist candidate on the mayoral ballot. Vote for somebody that puts their money, their bodies, and their selves on the front line. Vote for somebody that doesn't put empty promises at our doorstep. They don't feed us false promises. Kathy tells us the truth. And if anybody who wants to follow her, please do, at Kathy Rojas for Mayor on Twitter and on Instagram. And our website went live today, www.kathyrojasformayor.nyc. Please welcome our comrade, our leader, our champion, Kathy Rojas.
My name is Kathy Rojas, and I am the only socialist candidate running for New York City mayor. I want to talk a little bit about the significance of where we are right now. In 1969, over 50 years ago, the Young Lords, a revolutionary socialist organization fighting for the liberation of Puerto Ricans and all oppressed people here in the United States and abroad, occupied this very church for 11 days, calling it the People's Church. They immediately set up free breakfast programs for children, educational programs, tuberculosis testing, and any other services the people needed. I want to honor the legacy of the Young Lords, the history of struggle on these very streets. They led the garbage offensive on 110th Street, just one block over, when the sanitation services refused to pick up trash for the people who lived in El Barrio. Just over the bridge in the Bronx, they occupied Lincoln Hospital, which was known as the butcher shop. because so many patients died there. Black and brown patients. They took over the hospital and demanded quality care, higher wages, daycare, nutrition services, and drug addiction programs. The Young Lords had a 13-point program that laid out their demands. I won't go through all of them, but there's one point, the 13-point program, that we want to go over today, and that program is called We Want a Socialist Society. We want liberation, clothing, free food, education, healthcare, transportation, utilities, and employment for all. We want a society where the needs of our people come first, and where we give solidarity and aid to the peoples of the world, not oppression and racism. I start here because in order to know how to fight, we have to know where we're going. When we say we are standing on the shoulders of giants, I mean giants like the Young Lords. I want to thank the People's Church for allowing us to hold our press conference here outside this historic monument. I am the daughter of two working-class Colombian immigrants. Born and raised in New York City, I am a public school history teacher. I am a proud graduate of public schools of SUNY and CUNY. I know what it's like to work 40 hours, more than 40 hours a week, just to make ends meet. I know what it's like to see my community harassed and terrorized by ICE and police, and to live in the richest city in the world without seeing a cent of that wealth invested in my community. Okay. This inspired me to fight. From battling budget cuts at SUNY, to training cop watch teams in Queens, to tenant organizing, to fighting against Amazon HQ2 that was going to gentrify our communities. And when the pandemic hit, I wasn't on vacation. I wasn't hiding. I didn't leave New York City. We started a grocery delivery program because it was in Corona, Queens and Elmhurst, Queens, where immigrant families were left to fend for themselves without unemployment, without any relief check, without food. And we were delivering food to their houses every week because that's what a leader does. They serve. I have witnessed the severe impact that the inefficient pandemic response of the New York City government has had on working people in our city, and how it has placed the burden of the pandemic on the shoulders of workers. 31,000 New Yorkers died that could have been saved. 1 million lost their jobs. And 200,000 are right now facing potential evictions. For too long, wealthy real estate developers, investors, and politicians who cater to them have controlled our city. Working class New Yorkers have been displaced and burdened by high rent and mortgages under a system that treats lands and housing as a means for profit for the rich instead of housing for us. In 2020, over 120,000 homeless people slept in city shelters. 40,000 of them were children. There are thousands more who sleep unsheltered in the streets, in subways, or other public places in our city. Meanwhile, there are 250,000 empty and vacant unused units and apartments in our city. There are more vacant units than there are homeless people in New York City. While the eviction moratorium has been extended through the summer, that has not stopped over 50,000 eviction cases from being filed since the beginning of the pandemic, mostly in Black and Latino neighborhoods in the Bronx and Queens. The average tenant owes about $8,000 in back rent. New York City is the finance capital of the world, home to Wall Street, and the city can choose to tax the rich, the corporations, the real estate developers, and cut billions from the police budget to secure the needs of the most vulnerable people. Instead, they choose not to. They choose to watch our communities die. We, the organizers, the workers, the young people, the elderly, have been fighting to meet our needs and devising solutions on how to meet our needs. Feeding each other, providing clothing, medicine, and many other things that are necessary. Things do not have to be this way. There is no way the current system, the status quo, can offer a solution because the foundation of the crisis existed before the pandemic spread. The NYPD harassed and wrongly detained and killed before the pandemic. People were being evicted and there was a homelessness crisis before the pandemic. People with and without insurance were drowning in hospital bills before the pandemic. Our schools were underfunded and over-policed before the pandemic. Rent and tuition were going up before the pandemic. The pandemic only exposed those inequalities that so many of us experience every day. So how can we trust these same old politicians to fix those problems? This is why I am running as a socialist for mayor. My campaign and the Party for Socialism and Liberation are here to struggle with our communities against injustice and fight for a better future that puts people before profits and the planet before greed. Only a socialist system, a system in which working and poor people hold economic and political power instead of a tiny elite, can prevent public health and economic disasters like the one we are in right now. Adam says that he is the new face of the Democratic Party after last week's polling results. But we're here to say that the Democratic Party does not represent New Yorkers. That the new face of New Yorkers is working class and it is socialist. Together, we can make sure the wealth that we produce does not fill the pockets of the rich that are already multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires, but goes to our needs. We can reorganize the city budget to make it sustainable. We can tax the rich, impose higher taxes on billionaires and millionaires, and once again, use those funds to meet our needs. We can defund the NYPD of its $6 to $10 billion budget, which myself and the PSL alongside millions of people have stood up and demanded during last year's nationwide mobilizations. It is a shame that after the largest movement for justice our country has seen in years, demanding the end of police terror, the media has fabricated a panic on the streets to protect us. We see right through your propaganda. Billionaires, super PACs have donated to all Democratic candidates to ensure none of them fight for workers, to ensure that they stand between us and the progress while telling us they are fighting on our behalf. Data shows that crime in New York has only decreased while police violence continues to increase. We know that when the police are called, they often make situations more dangerous, bloody, and violent. Don't use data to confuse the people. We said no more stop and frisk, no more police murders, no more broken windows, defund the police. Contrary to popular belief, police only solve 2% of all major crime. I'm going to say that again. Contrary to all popular belief, police only solve 2% of all major crime. So can we really trust police to keep us safe? Now let me put this in perspective. I'm a teacher. If my school only graduates 2% of its students, it's going to get defunded. If the MTA only takes 2% of its riders to its destination, it's going to get defunded. If a hospital only saves 2% of its patients' lives, it's going to get defunded. So let's defund police, yes, because it's rooted in white supremacy, but let's also defund it because it's in effect active. And we need to find a way to truly keep New Yorkers safe. A study from 2017 showed us that violence interruption programs led to 63% reduction in shootings and 37% reduction in gun injuries in the South Bronx. 50% reduction in gun injuries in East New York. That's a whole lot better than the NYPD's 2%.
That's right.
Let's invest in what works.
Yeah.
Community-based violence intervention programs make a difference and have been underfunded for decades. Organizations composed of former street gang members and longtime community organizers have been interrupting violence and mentoring young people in healthy ways for years. We must meaningfully fund these initiatives that work.
Right.
But also, we need to tackle the real crime that is rampant in our city. Employers guilty of wage thefts, developers who displace thousands, Wall Street bankers who have defrauded the people of New York City and have seen no repercussions.
Right.
All killer cops who are still walking free today, and the politicians who have done nothing to stop the police's terroristic behavior against the people. We know the police don't protect us. We protect each other. We provide for each other, and we hold each other down. We can rise up and realize our power. It's time to connect our different fights, to fight, to have a safe place to live. My campaign and the PSL are instruments in your hands that we can use to organize ourselves as workers, to fight for our interests, to achieve power, a new system in which people come before profits. This is a fighting campaign. So I invite you to fight with us. The people united will never be defeated. Thank you. Hola, mi nombre es Katy Rojas y soy una socialista y me estoy postulando para la alcaldesa de Nueva York. Quiero hablar un poco sobre la importancia de dónde estamos ahora. En el 1969, hace más de 50 años, los Young Lords, una organización socialista revolucionaria que luchó por la liberación de los puertorriqueños y de todas las personas oprimidas aquí en Estados Unidos y a través del mundo, ocuparon esta misma iglesia por 11 días y la llamaron la Iglesia del Pueblo. Inmediatamente después de haberla ocupado, establecieron programas de desayuno gratuito para niños, programas educativos, pruebas de tuberculosis y cualquier otro servicio que la comunidad necesitaba. Los Young Lords tenían un programa de 13 puntos en sus demandas. Hoy solamente voy a hablar sobre uno. El punto número 13, que decía: queremos una sociedad socialista y terminemos con la opresión y el racismo. Empiezo aquí porque para saber luchar tenemos que saber hacia dónde vamos. Quiero agradecer a la Iglesia del Pueblo por dejarnos usar este espacio tan histórico y tan importante para la comunidad hoy. Soy hija de 2 inmigrantes colombianos, mi mamá está aquí, de clase trabajadora, nacida y criada en la ciudad de Nueva York. Soy maestra de historia de una escuela pública. Orgullosamente soy graduada de escuelas públicas de Nueva York, de CUNY y SUNY. Sé lo que es luchar bajo este sistema, tener que trabajar más de 40 horas solamente para pagar las cuentas. Sé que es ser acosada y aterrorizada por la policía y por ICE y vivir en la ciudad más rica del mundo sin ver un centavo de esa riqueza. Esto me ha inspirado a luchar por mi gente. En la universidad empecé a luchar en contra de los cortos de los fondos para SUNY, para nuestra universidad, que era una universidad pública. Cuando volví de Albany empecé a crear una organización de vigilancia policial para vigilar la policía que le estaba quitando o estaba yendo contra los derechos de los inmigrantes, dándole tickets a personas que solamente estaban vendiendo comida. También después de eso trabajé como una organizadora de tenientes de un edificio, de NYCHA específicamente, que es vivienda pública. Organicé contra Amazon cuando quería ir a Queens y iba a gentrificar la comunidad y subir el costo de vivienda en Queens. Y durante la pandemia repartí mercados porque cuando nuestro gobierno le negó comida a nuestras familias inmigrantes, era la responsabilidad de nosotros, de nuestra comunidad, cuidar por uno al otro porque el gobierno nos dejó muertos. He sido testigo del severo impacto que dejó la ineficiente respuesta pandémica del gobierno de la ciudad de Nueva York. Le ha puesto toda la carga de la pandemia a los trabajadores. Más de 31,000 neoyorquinos murieron que no tenían que morir si la ciudad hubiera tenido un plan para la pandemia. 1 millón perdieron sus trabajos y 200,000 ahora están enfrentando la posibilidad de desalojo. Mientras que los ricos reciben más y más ganancias, nosotros que fuimos los trabajadores esenciales, los que hicimos que todo en esta ciudad trabaje, nos dejaron en la calle. En el 2020 hubo más de 120,000 personas sin hogar y 40,000 de ellos eran niños. Aunque a la misma vez hay 240,000 hogares vacantes que nadie está ocupando, nadie los está rentando, donde pueden mudar a esas personas a esos apartamentos, pero no lo hacen porque solamente piensan en la ganancia y no piensan en la humanidad de la gente. Aunque tenemos el moratorio de rentas, vemos que en el momento hay más de 50,000 personas que les pueden dar evicción en este momento, que están peleando evicción en este momento. Las cosas no tienen que ser así. No hay forma de que el sistema actual pueda ofrecer una solución, porque todos los problemas que nosotros vimos en nuestras comunidades durante las pandemias ya estaban ahí. El desalojo ya existía antes de la pandemia, las escuelas que no tenían fondos ya existían antes de la pandemia, la brutalidad policial existía antes de la pandemia. Entonces nosotros no podemos esperar que el mismo gobierno que creó estos problemas busque las soluciones. Por eso es que yo me postulé bajo el Partido de Socialismo y Liberación, que es un partido que se ha dedicado siempre a buscar soluciones por nuestros problemas, que siempre se ha dedicado a servir el interés de los trabajadores, no el Partido Demócrata que sigue y sigue cogiendo fondos de las personas más ricas de esta ciudad.
Yeah.
My glasses. Okay. Nosotros sabemos que la propaganda está influenciando a la ciudad de Nueva York. Lo único que hablan es del crimen porque ellos saben que hubo el movimiento más grande que hemos visto en esta nación el año pasado, en el 2020, en contra de los fondos policiales. Ellos dicen que la policía es una necesidad para parar el crimen y la violencia. Pero lo que no dicen es que solamente el 2% de todos los casos que están abiertos por la policía son resueltos. Esto quiere decir que la policía es ineficiente en hacer su trabajo. En cualquier otro trabajo, si hay una escuela y solamente gradúan el 2% de las personas de esa escuela no sirve. Si hay un hospital y solamente le salvan el 2% de las vidas de todos los pacientes, ese hospital no sirve. Ok, entonces la policía no solamente le queremos quitar los fondos porque es una operación de supremacía blanca, pero le tenemos que quitar los fondos porque no es eficiente en parar la violencia en nuestro país, en nuestra ciudad. ¿Okay? Y tenemos que buscar por soluciones que trabajen. Y por eso nosotros estamos mirando estamos hablando con organizaciones organizaciones comunitarias que se han dedicado a interrumpir violencia en sus comunidades, que lo han hecho mucho mejor, que han comprobado de reducir el 63% de tiroteos en el Bronx y en East New York, que es algo mucho mejor que el 2% que hace el NYPD. Entonces paremos de dar fondos en algo que no trabaja, fondemos nuestras comunidades. Sabemos que la policía no nos protege, nos protegemos uno al otro, nos protegemos entre nuestras comunidades. Pero lo que necesitamos es unir todos nuestros movimientos por la justicia en un solo movimiento para la reorganización socialista de la sociedad. Mi campaña y el Partido de Socialismo y Liberación es un instrumento para que podamos organizarnos como trabajadores, para luchar por nuestros intereses, para tener poder y crear un nuevo sistema en el que nuestra humanidad sea más importante que la ganancia de los ricos. Juntos podemos reconstruir y transformar Nueva York para convertirla en una ciudad para nosotros, no para los ricos. Esta es una campaña de lucha, así que los invito a luchar con nosotros. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Gracias.
Thank you everybody for coming out. You want to get involved? Rojas 4, the number 4 mayor, .nyc. Rojas for Mayor.nyc, at Rojas for Mayor on Instagram, and at Rojas for Mayor 2021 on Twitter. Follow us, join us. Thank you.